Welcome to lesson 3 of our Journeying with the Plant Spirits course. In this lesson, I am going to teach you the foundational practice of this particular technique that we use to connect more deeply with the plant spirits, to enter into rapport, to engage directly with them, to learn from them, to be initiated by them, to live our lives in alignment with them. So, the reason that I decided to give this particular part of the technique its own class is because I really would love for you to spend a week or two sitting with this practice and really getting some nice control over it, really learning it, exploring it, figuring out where your strong points are in this practice, where your weak points are, and working on them, because the deeper you can get with what I'm going to show you, the better this whole practice works, and the deeper you can go in your own magic and medicine with the plants, really however you choose to work with them moving forward. So as I mentioned in previous lessons, we are going to be centering working with tinctures or glycerites as part of this particular journey. Now, once you get a grasp on how this all works, you can get creative and do this with teas, incense, sachets, baths, all kinds of different formats of working with the plants. But I'm teaching you with tinctures because they work. It's incredibly easy to dose. They're very convenient to have with you. They never go bad. They do carry the color and the aroma and the taste of the plant spirits. So we're getting that nice, deep, organoleptic experience, but there's no limit. So what we're going to talk about in this particular lesson is what the work with this tincture looks like. In following classes, we're going to take this practice I'm going to show you and start applying it to a ritual calendar. We're going to apply it to a sit or sitting, journeying, or dedicating with an individual plant spirit. So without this piece in place, the rest of it doesn't have a very strong foundation. So we want to make sure this is nice and solid. So you will hear me talk at length about something that I call following the medicine. And what that means is when we take herbal medicine into our body, or even apply it topically or surround ourselves with it atmospherically, as with incense, we are in a situation where we can learn directly from the plant spirits from inside of ourselves, from inside of our own universe. And this is very, very powerful. There are few other forms of the sorceress arts where we have the ability to merge or mend our being with the being we're working with so that relationship can happen. So this is very intimate and very special and very, very powerful. So this idea of following the medicine means that when we take whatever format of medicine into the body or around the body, we are being as present with it as we possibly can, knowing that the medicine is a vehicle for the spirit, the intelligence, the personhood of the plant spirit that we're working with. And that if we stay present with the way that that medicine moves through our being and moves through our lives, we're then showing up for class, right? We're there to experience what the plant spirit wants to say to us, what they want to teach us, what they want to show to us, how they want to adjust and transform with us. So this is very, very important. There are lots of different ways to do this, and I challenge you to lean into uncomfortable ways of doing this work, or ways that you feel really inept or really weak or really awkward. Those are oftentimes the places where you will find the most power. So as you're doing this following work, and I'll give you some examples here in a minute, don't cater to your strengths too much. Obviously, that's a great place to start. It's a great place to learn, but don't get yourself trapped into a box of what you're good at. You might find through this process a great deal of self-discovery, self-awareness, a little bit of shadow work even. And that's a really great thing. That's a really great side benefit that comes from doing this particular work. So I am in today's lesson working with one of my closest plant spirit allies, ashwagandha, in the form of a tincture that I made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take a dose of this and I'm going to go on the following journey and kind of just narrate to you what I'm experiencing. And then afterwards, we'll unpack it and I'll give you some ideas on what this looks like. And then I would like for you to turn your phone off or shut your laptop or turn off the TV or whatever and go find a single herb tincture that you like to work with, that's safe and appropriate for you to work with. And I want you to practice this. Do it while it's fresh. Get it in there. If you don't have an individual herb in tincture format and you've got a formula you're working with, go do that. As long as you get it in your tissue, right? Put the seed in the soil. Otherwise, this all becomes too ephemeral and we become armchair sorcerers, and we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is a relatively large dose, therapeutic dose, but as we get into following lessons, you'll see that we actually tend to microdose when we do this work. I'm going to do a larger dose so that the experience is a little louder for me, and I can then translate that for you. So, first and foremost, I am, of course, feeling the burn of the tincture on my tongue. The taste of the ashwagandha is a very familiar, very comforting taste to me. The smell kind of gets up into my nose. And with the swallow, I feel that warmth, the heat, a little bit of burn from that alcohol, right? This is an alcohol extract moving down my throat and into my belly. Now from here, this is where the magic starts. What I like to do with an inhalation, even though the tincture has moved into my belly, right? I'm going to invite it into my heart with an inhalation. I'm gonna pull the energy of the tincture, the power of it into my heart center. So I'm still experiencing the physical warmth in my throat and my mouth and my belly, but I'm trying to invite the spirit of the medicine into my heart center, into the middle of my being. This is the crossroads within, the liminal point within, right? The heart is in connection and relationship to all of the worlds. This is our liminal space in relationship to all liminal spaces. And from here, normally I would stop talking and I would be quiet, but I'm going to narrate for you. I'm going to become as pliable and still and squishy and open, receptive as possible, right? Like a bowl, like an empty vessel. And the idea, what I remind myself in this practice, is to listen from everywhere, right? Listen from everywhere. Get really hungry for whatever it is the plants want to teach from within. Get really hungry to hear what they have to say. So this is a plant that I've been working with for a really, really long time. So I know a lot about how this plant moves for me. But what I can say is the first thing that I notice with ashwagandha is that the energy condenses into the center of my being. Not my spine, but the middle of me. Almost like there's an axis or a pole running right through the center of my body. And as the ashwagandha spirit moves in and strengthens, I feel the energy build and build until it sort of releases with warmth and then flows through my peripheral nervous system into every single part of my body. And so this is telling me something about how ashwagandha moves in my body. Now, if you were to take the same tincture with me, you might have a totally different experience. And that's the beautiful thing. We are in unique relationship with these plants. Ashwagandha is teaching me. Ashwagandha is moving inside of me. This is my medicine, my ritual, my experience, as it will be for you when you do the work. So as that happens, there's a deep grounding and a deep settling sensation for me. And one thing that I really like to look for, especially with these herbs that I take every single day, is, are there any places in my body where this medicine cannot get? Do I find that for some reason that warmth, that movement of the spirit of ashwagandha, for some reason can't get down my left leg? I don't feel it there. Maybe the left leg starts to get cold while the rest of my body warms up. And what might that mean? What's the investigation there? What questions can I ask? How can I breathe into that space or open it or shake or stretch or meditate, do some creative visualization, right? Be part of the process. We are observing and listening, but then there's an invitation to participate. So this is important. So following the herb, seeing how the plant moves through your body, how they unfold, how they speak, where they move, where they don't move, what parts of your body they have a favor for, right? So if they move into one part and stay there, that could tell you something about what part of your being that plant has an affinity for, how they like to work for you, and how they move in the body. And then from there, deep quiet, deep stillness. And here's where we have the opportunity to listen and just clear the slate, wipe the board clean, just be as quiet as you can, don't force it, and invite, allow, make space for the plant spirit to give whatever they want to give. And sometimes all they're giving is 5 minutes of rest, 5 minutes of quiet, right? So let that be beautiful too. But oftentimes what will happen is that things will pop into your mind. Things will pop into your emotional body. Things will come up in your physical body, and it will be very easy for you to write them off as your own, write them off as distraction, as mind chatter, as disruptive to the meditation. But please don't do that, because the plant medicine is inside your body. It is inside of you. It's moving through your blood right now, which means that the plant spirit is going to speak to you from within, and they are going to speak to you using your personal language symbol set. And this is where people get really, really tied in knots. So let's avoid that. The wisdom that you receive from the plant spirits when we follow the medicine will sound like your voice, will be symbols, memories, feelings, beliefs, ideas that are relevant to you, that mean something to you, and they will often bubble up from the deepest part of you. Now, we all love an experience where a spirit speaks to us from without. There's some external situation that happens that is jarring and so wholly other that it's a sometimes terrifying experience, right? But this is not how the plant spirits communicate generally. We have been with them since the beginning. They were here before us. They have watched the human narrative since day one, and we survive on them. We are codependent on them in every way possible. Everything that keeps us alive comes from their world. So the way that they interface with us is very, very effortless. It's very natural. And so the strength here that comes from practice is learning how to quiet the mind and quiet the body and clear the mind, and let whatever comes up, and let it be meaningful. The fact that it's coming up now in this space means something. If you would rather say, it's not the plant spirit speaking to me, it's just my own intuition bringing up in this ritual moment what is relevant, that's fine. The plants won't be offended. But I can promise you that it is by the nudging of the plant spirits moving through your body in this intentional way that what is coming up comes up. So you may have a song pop into your head, a poem, a color, a feeling, a sensation, a memory, a feeling in the physical body, an idea, an inspiration, a worry. Anything is possible. You're going into this blank chalkboard space and just seeing what gets written, right? You're not worrying so much about how it's being written or who's writing it, but what is coming up. And more than that, we're really focusing on the feeling, really focusing on how we feel, because the feels, the emotional body is very much a liminal point in the body, a liminal space where different aspects of our mental and physical being overlap. So we take the dose. I like to follow the medicine, bring it into the heart, and then see how the medicine moves, learn about the plant that way, and then just be quiet and just listen. Just settle into a neutral space, put it in neutral, and don't overthink it, and allow that everything happens in this space is meaningful, has meaning for you, right? It's all important. And it's really funny that when we kind of radically embrace that idea, when we come into the saying, everything that's going to happen right now means something for me, it's funny how much that quiets us and how much that turns the inner critic voice down, right? Because now everything is meaningful, so there's nothing to shut down. There's nothing to silence anymore. So that can be really powerful for those of us who tend to have a little bit of a chattery brain, right? So we're following the medicine, we're listening from within, we're seeing what comes up. And this could take anywhere from 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Sometimes you're invited to really just stay with the process for 10 or 15 minutes, and that's okay too. It lasts as long as it lasts. And then you come out, and I would love for you to open up a notebook and draw something, write something, put some keywords, name which plant you worked with, how much of the tincture you took, what today's date is, what came up for you. These journals are very important. Over time, they become your grimoire. They become your understanding of the plant spirit. Then you can spend, as I'm going to show you in a later lesson, 29 days with one plant every single day doing this ritual. You can come back years down the road and say, okay, over that 29 days, what did ashwagandha teach me? What did I learn about this medicine and how this medicine works with me, for me, and how I should work with this medicine in service of others, right? So that's how it all comes. This is how much of what I know about the plants and how I work with them in my practice. This is how I know them, is that I have dedicated 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 months at a time sitting with one plant, creating tons of space in my life for them to give me whatever they want to give me, creating an altar to them, making offerings to them, meditating with them, studying them, growing them, looking at pictures of them, carrying dried bits of them in my pocket, and of course, when it's appropriate, taking their tincture within and doing this journey work with the plant spirit. So this is following the medicine. So now's the time where you go pick up your own tincture and you start playing with this. There's only so much that I can explain about the process, but I can tell you that no matter how many tinctures you have taken in your life, how much plant medicine, if you're taking tinctures all day, every day, when you approach the work with just this slight adjustment, just coming in with this intention, intention is the power that parts the hedge, okay? The experience will be different. When you sit intentionally in a listening space, you will start to hear what's been happening this whole time, and the plants will see you hearing, see you listening, and boy, will they get loud. Most of us take this medicine as we're grabbing our car keys and heading out the door, right? We're hitting it at a red light in traffic. And that's okay when we're doing therapeutic work with the plants, and I can continue to work with ashwagandha like that for the rest of today, now that I have done this sit, right? Now that I've done this ritual. So go out and experiment with it, write it down, let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, if you feel stuck, if some really awesome things happen, I of course want to hear about it. So send me a message, leave something in the comments if you like. Let's see what each other experiences in this way. And again, practice this for at least a week before we get to the next lesson where we start ritualizing this process, getting in alignment with lunar tides and turning this into a journey, a dedication.